yako.
Murang'a County Governor Irungu Kang'ata, who will be shedding more light on the investment conference that is around the corner, and not forget on why Murang'a County is actually boasting of its agriculture, job opportunities, and much more on why Murang'a County is thriving in its investments. At this point, allow me to introduce my colleague on my right to introduce himself and kick us off to this segment.
All right. Thanks, Vera. My name is Kefa Muirore, NTV, Nation Media Group, and we are happy to have the governor here ahead of the first Murang'a Investment Conference, which starts on the 13th and runs to the 14th, which is the coming weekend. And Governor, before we get to the conference, I think mine is the backdrop of where we are having this conversation, is the Murang'a County Referral Hospital. If you tell us more about this facility, it looks relatively new. We've had a walk around. We've seen what it has to offer. When does it open its doors, and what should we be expecting from this facility?
Thank you so much. This is a new building, or rather a new block, constructed on Murang'a Referral Level 5 Hospital. And it will house about 4 new wards. We have an emergency ward, casualty, a new mothers or women ward, a new children ward, and also a post-operation recovery ward. And it will have about 80 to about 100 new bed capacity. And the reason we have done this new block is because currently Murang'a Level 5 is highly congested. Patients share beds. You find one bed has 2, even at times 3 patients. We hope this will decongest Murang'a Level 5 Hospital. And secondly, and quite importantly, we'll establish about 2 new theaters. There has been a constant complaint that we have 2 theaters here in Murang'a Hospital which are highly congested, and therefore it was important on our part to expand this facility. As to when we shall open, probably in the next 2-3 weeks, and it's not yet opened, it is new, so we ask for patience as we open it soon.
Maybe you can tell us of the new facilities or amenities that the hospital has. You've spoken about theaters, and what else?
Basically wards.
Okay.
And as I have said, Murang'a Level 5 Hospital is highly congested. Mm-hmm. Patients currently share beds, which I think is not good, it's not fair. Mm-hmm. And we wonder at times why our dear people have to bypass several rural facilities to come and seek medical facilities here. Of course, I would imagine is because it has highest concentration of doctors and experts. So it's also a push by the public to get good services. And therefore, this necessitated us constructing this new facility, which is about to get finished, and we shall open. Beyond this, we have been expanding our facilities. Kirwara Hospital, which is in Gatanga, we found a building which had not been completed. We completed it. Kandara constituency was the only constituency in Murang'a that did not have inpatient wards. People of Kandara would go to Gaishanjiru Mission Hospital or AIC Githumu, but now we have 2 new wards, and very soon an extra 2 wards, making them 4, will be completed. When you go to Kegumo, the national government, the last regime, they built a hospital but did not complete it, so we had to push for its completion, and also we had to equip it. So we equipped it, and it is now functioning. Maragua Hospital had a similar problem like Murang'a, so we built 2 new wards. When you come to Kangema, we did refurbishment. When you go to Nyakianga, that is Madhya, It was the only constituency in Muranga that did not have a level 4 hospital. Very soon we shall be finishing upgrading of Nyakianga into a more robust hospital. And beyond that, we have also built several dispensaries across Muranga County. And I think when we came into office with about 130-something medical facilities, we have now pushed that to 167. But definitely there's a downside to that, which is building more facilities means we hire more. And there is a limit within which we can hire more because of our budget constraints. And therefore, yes, we are hiring, but at a slower pace as our budget expands. And but we think it is the right thing and the moral thing to invest in healthcare.
Quite important to invest in healthcare. Maybe away from the healthcare and into the investment conference that is around the corner. Perhaps are these part of the facilities that you are looking to invest in to attract the investors into the county? And at this point, you will also introduce to us on what the conference targets to achieve.
Well, the idea of investment conference first is to justify what is the rationale. I know conferences has been criticized as being mere talking shops. Yeah. But look at it this way. If you don't do a conference, how else will you attract investors? It will mean you keep quiet and you wait for them to trickle into your county. That will take many years. But when you do a conference, you bring so many people, stakeholders, together. You sell to them your vision together. So the information percolates better and faster. And we think without a conference, it will take many years to bring more investors here. Remember, our county government believes in private capital. For you to understand the rationale of private capital, look at Nairobi CBD. Ask yourself, how many buildings are in Nairobi CBD that belong to the national government or to the government or even the county? Probably 5%. Then 95% of the shiny building in Nairobi are done by private capital. So therefore that tells you that the engine of economic growth is private capital. The government only provides enabling environment. So therefore, we knew as a county government to create jobs, to create better value to our farmers, we have to attract private capital. And that can only be done in a more rational manner through an investment conference.
Yeah. Governor, you mentioned that we don't want conferences to just be talking shops. We've seen a number of devolved units conduct such conferences in the past. Muranga is now having its first conference. How are you tailoring yourself different to ensure that, again, you don't end up with a talking shop, that the investors you're actually looking for will actually come through?
Okay, of course, I will not say that other counties' conferences have not been successful. I think they have, depending on various matrices. But our conference is also very targeted. We are basically telling investors we have land and land for investment. So what we are selling is quite specific. It is land for investment, particularly manufacturing. You might ask why manufacturing? There is no country in this world that has developed without manufacturing. No way. Manufacturing creates jobs. Manufacturing creates value. 1960, Kenya was richer than Singapore. Kenya was far much richer than China. But currently Singapore is 50 times richer than Kenya. Gross domestic product of Singapore per person, that is per capita, is about 100,000 USD. Kenya is 2,400. China, which has about a population of 1.4 billion people. GDP per person now is currently about 13,000 USD. Kenya is 6 times poorer. Yeah, and in 1980, China was poorer than Kenya. It has reached that level in the last 40 years. That tells you there were some decisions that were made by the policymakers of the two countries many years ago that proved right. And you look at their history of development, it is purely an issue of manufacturing. And if Africa is projected in the next 20 years to be hosting a third of the world population because of the bulging youth population. And therefore, as leaders of this region, if we don't incentivize manufacturers to come to Kenya and to Muranga, we are done. And there is an opportunity. Currently, China is the largest manufacturing base in the world. US is putting barriers, and US is the largest market in the world, putting tariffs. That then means Chinese manufacturers they have a major incentives to shift their base from China to Kenya or even Africa, and Muranga wants to position itself as the place to receive such capacity.
Governor, you speak of offering land for the investors, but Murang'a County boasts of its agriculture. Perhaps you could shed some light on what exactly does Murang'a produce in terms of productivity?
Murang'a is number one producer of tea by small-scale farmers. Last financial year, Murang'a fetched 17.8 billion. The next county, I think, had gotten only 10 billion. Number two, we are number two in coffee production in terms of earnings per farmer after Kirinyaga. Of course, that's a new positive that has happened this year, and we are happy for that. Number three, avocado. We are the largest producer of avocado in this country. We control about 30 to 40% of avocado production in this country. We are also among the top 3 small-scale producer of milk. We also now have a new value chain of mangoes, helping the lower regions of Murang'a. And also, most importantly, is that our interventions in maize farming has made our maize production double. Yeah, we double. On average, Murang'a farmer used to produce 2 bags of maize per season. I think county interventions by providing certified seeds and fertilizer has caused now a single farmer to reach about 4 bags, which for us is positive. We think all that value needs to be added, to be manufactured, and that way the earnings of the Murang'a farmer will go up, and that will help in fighting poverty. And we think when we have positioned our county as a manufacturing hub, we will definitely help uplift farmers' lives in the rural areas.
Mm-hmm. Will the investors enable the local farmers to connect directly to their markets, or what is the model here if they are to provide their commodities to the investors?
We believe in aggregation, and the county government has been mobilizing farmers to form themselves into cooperatives. Mm-hmm. And then we have been entering into MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding, with manufacturers. There was the possibility of the county doing its own factories, but we think it's not rational. When governments enter into business, those business tends to fail for several reasons, including inefficiencies and corruption and maladministration. Mm-hmm. So we thought the best way now is to look for manufacturers. We enter into agreements, they give us a guaranteed price, Then we go and mobilize farmers, and then we take the produce to those manufacturers. A good example is mango. When we came into office, mango on average, a farmer was earning about 3 bob per kg. Then we went and looked for several companies. One is called Sunny Mango at Kambiti. They gave us a guaranteed price of about 16 bob. This year they push it to 18 bob. That company is just here in Kambiti in Murang'a County. Another one is called Kevian in Thika. Another one is called Vats in Machakos. We have Premier Foods in Nairobi. And this year we opened an export market by a company called Kate. So with those 5 companies, we are able now to ensure, on average, Murang'a farmer earns about 23 bob per kg from a low of 3 bob. For maize, the same rationale. We went and looked for a company that is in Kirinyaga. We entered into the same deal. We told them, we agreed that for every 1 bag of maize, they'll be buying from us at 3,500. Previously, Murang'a farmer was earning 2,200 per bag. Now that price went up to about 4,000. And we think that agreement we had with that manufacturer helped raise the earnings to the farmer. So we believe that the manufacturing is very important towards tickling more value to our farmers. God willing, on Wednesday I'll be having a discussion with Coca-Cola so that we see whether they can help us in the value chain of mango and several other areas. In the avocado sector, several companies have been attracted to Murang'a to put up companies that add value to avocado. Murang'a itself, county government, helped a farmers union to put up what we call a pack house that cleans and packs avocado at Ngararia in Kandara. And we think also that intervention will cause a farmer to earn more.
You spoke of incentives earlier, and I know the Murang'a County government is offering incentives to bring investors in, and some of them include free consultancy. You're also promising a one-stop shop that an investor can come in, register, and get through the process of getting onboarded. How do you think these incentives will set you apart as Murang'a County to the rest of the country in terms of attracting investment?
Yes, we were advised by one of the key players called Mr. Ali Karuri, who is to advise the late President Moi Kibaki. He is helping us he's consulting for free on how to package the county well, that we need to come up with a law. It's currently, there's a bill in the County Assembly of Murang'a called Murang'a Industrial Bill. If it passes, it contains various incentives that include a one-stop shop where an investor comes, an officer is assigned to that investor, and then he is taken through all those regulatory processes, getting, for instance, single business permit, environmental licenses, by that officer, so that you, the investor, you are comfortable. The county does everything for you. And then we think that will help Murang'a become more attractive to investments. Yeah.
One more question from me from incentives is, how easy and how difficult is it for counties to offer incentives? One, we know they are semi-autonomous bodies, but unlike the US where you have states that can decide their own corporate income tax rates or income tax rates, say like Florida offering quite the cheaper rates, how do counties go about offering incentives in this country where, again, you have no control of, you have all those levels of control are not in your hands. Some of them are with the national government. How would counties still set themselves apart?
Okay, we have some collaboration with national government institutions. Like Murang'a has about 1,300 acres of land that was ceded to it by a company called Del Monte. And that land, 500 of it, we gave it to Export Processing Zone, a national government entity. The balance, we want to register it as a SEZA, Special Economic Zone. And And the incentives under the law that apply in a special economic zone will also apply in Muranga once that process of approval goes through. So therefore the point I'm bringing is the future is positive. It can only become better, and whoever will invest in that land in particular will definitely get national government incentives. As to the counties, we also try to mirror the national government incentives. Like there's some possibility of waiver if you justify waiver for various county fees. Yeah, there's a law that was passed by Murang'a County Assembly. We also have that bill that is currently before the Assembly. So therefore, the incentives are there.
Mm-hmm. We've spoken about land, we've spoken about the many agricultural products in Murang'a County, but do we have enough people to offer the jobs if the investors come to Murang'a County? And are we assured of creating job opportunities to the youth and Mama Mboga? What is the plan?
Yes, investments, the most important role they play is jobs creation. Mm-hmm. As I have stated, jobs are not in government sector. Jobs are in private sector. And therefore, when the investors come, they put up factories. It is the young people who will benefit most, mm-hmm. particularly those who are educated, even those with semi-skills, they will also benefit. Let me put you into perspective. We had the opportunity, for instance, to go and divide that land into small pieces, and we sell them for people to put up residential houses. Mm-hmm. But in a residential estate, what jobs are created after the completion of the construction phase? Very few. Maybe a watchman. But you know, these days a watchman is one mm-hmm. in a large estate, isn't it? But we did the opposite. We decided we go the factories way. Mm-hmm. In 1 acre, a good factory can create about 100 jobs. There will be the manager, the lawyer, the accountant, the supervisor, the general manager, yeah, the plant operator, the people now doing the manual work. So, if you have about a land of about 1,000, you are talking of possibly 100,000 new jobs created. Mm-hmm. Go to a township called Kitengela. Kitengela is basically there because of EPZ. So we think that Murang'a will now have a new EPZ, mm-hmm. a new Kitengela, or rather a new Vika, mm-hmm. right inside the Murang'a County. Mm-hmm. And therefore for us it's very important. We were also, the County Assembly of Murang'a was wise enough to limit the number of residential houses that are going to be built into that land. Why? Mm-hmm. Because now we want those people to sleep outside the park, in that region surrounding that land. So those people will then get the opportunity to put up houses. We'll be housing those people in that park. And that is how money will trickle now outside the park through the provision of housing by the people of Murang'a. Mm-hmm. And that then also trickles to other value chains like Mama Mboga, transport, mm-hmm. and you create like a new city mm-hmm. in that region of Murang'a.
In terms of creating a new city, perhaps you could also share on are there amenities that you're looking to put or invest in so that to attract more investors in terms of be it roads, what amenities that will be dependent to the investors?
Definitely that's a challenge, a huge challenge. I say so because when you look at the possible capital outlay needed. Particularly for that key investment opportunity, it is huge for infrastructure, roads, water, sewerage, internet. Yeah, we were thinking too is one, public funds, both national government and the county. No wonder we have invited the head of state to attend. We hope he will help us in channeling the requisite funds needed for putting the infrastructure needed to ensure that area grows. But in the worst case scenario, we don't get public funds. We are also giving a proposition of public-private partnership. You know, you can enter into a joint venture with an entity that wants to provide those public facilities. Then you do a revenue share. You toll those services. Whoever puts a factory there pays for water up to that joint venture. Then we share. That's also an area we are asking anyone interested in doing that. Attend the conference, see whether you can spot an opportunity.
Are there any that you have identified or want to approach?
No, we can't do single sourcing, so it's open. Yeah, so whoever will come and see that opportunity is welcome to apply. We have put out a form where possible investors can apply or rather express their interest. It is on our website www.muranga.go.ke. You click, you'll see that form there. If you come to the investment conference on Friday, we'll also give you a physical form. You see, and then you tell us, you can help us achieve that.
Yeah. I want to speak to the place of public-private partnerships in terms of how Murang'a County is approaching its framework for that. And noting again, fiscal space will always be limited. For counties, the challenge has been recurrent expenditure running well past 50-60% for some, and salary is taking most of it. How is your public-private partnership framework? Are you copying what the national government has, or what's your approach to working together with the private sector to ensure we have capital for these projects?
Let me first admit what you're saying, that the counties struggle in terms of the division between salaries and other expenditure, including Murang'a. Our wage bill, by the way, is about 50%. In fact, were it not for the increment of own source revenue, we would be in a lot of problems. In fact, previously, Murang'a used to pay its employees after 3 months. But because our own source revenue has almost tripled, we used to collect about 500 million per annum own source revenue. We are now doing 1.3 billion per annum. That made us at least sustain our wage bill. Otherwise, we were in the same problem. Be that as it may, we still want private support. Like now, another reason for this conference is once those investors come, we are not giving them free land. No, there'll be some charge. Yeah, there'll be some charge, and that money will come to a basket. It come to a basket. So who knows? If many people come and agree to pay us, there is a likelihood of the county government raking a lot of money, which now we can use now to do several things, including building roads, sustain our wage bill better, and several other things. And by the way, the county has several programs that it runs. One option is to increase our fees and charges, our taxes, which we think is not good, because we want to be a low tax county. We do not have a finance act, new one. The last time Murang'a passed a finance act, I think, was in the year 2018. So the current fees and charges that we have, they are the ones of 2018. And therefore, we cherish ourselves as being a very low tax county. Maybe the only area we tweak a little bit up is liquor. Yeah. Be that as it may. So we think this conference, if we succeed, we shall establish a new revenue stream that will not be burdensome on the current Murang'a taxpayers. Yeah.
Right. So at 50%, your wage bill at 50%, how much is left in terms of development, which would be seed money to kickstart the transformation you want to see in the county? How much can the county actually put aside on its own?
Oh, you know, that percentage is set by law. It cannot go below 30%. So it's 30%, which is set by law, and we achieve it. The only thing we are compelled then to do is to reduce on what we call operation and maintenance. Yeah, we squeeze it very much because we have to reach the 30% that is set by law. But of course, our programs are many. We feed daily our 42,000 ECD learners with free porridge every day. We have community projects where we renovate our ECD centers. We have about 700 of them. So far, we have renovated almost 500. Together with our members of the county assembly. We do piping of water, graveling of roads. We have another program called Smart City where we do cabros in our main market. We have a program where we give free medical insurance to the vulnerable, about 40,000 households, translating to about 160,000 individuals. We have another program for farmers. We give them a card where they redeem inputs, about 20-something thousand. We give certified seeds to about 100,000 farmers. And also we have a bursary program of about 50,000 students. And we have a youth service that we give work study opportunities to unemployed youth, that they're about 6,200. So all those programs, we think that they need resources. Of course, we pray that the national government exchequer release to counties also increases annually as it ought to, but at times there's a small struggle there. So we think what we are doing with the investment conference is so important to the overall growth of this county.
All right. Perhaps we could talk about the future relationship between your investors and the county. What are some of the strategies you've put in place to improve that relationship or to keep the relationship going between the county and the investors?
First is to automate our services, because we believe that we want to reduce the interactions between investors with us physically. The more you reduce that physical interaction, the better it is on the investor. And we have been making an attempt to automate as many services as possible. We are not saying we are 100% there. No, we are not. It's a journey, but we think it is the right journey that we must carry forward to boost investment confidence. Secondly, there are also reasons that investors must see Murang'a as a good investment destination on their own. One is strategic location. From the boundary of Murang'a and Kiambu, that is there near Blue Post Hotel, to the boundary of Nairobi, that's about 20 minutes drive. That's Githurai. Githurai to Blue Post, that's 20 minutes. So we are very near Nairobi. Of course, we are joined Thika, a major urban settlement. We have a very good connection to Nairobi. We have a superhighway up to Nairobi. Our road infrastructure in the county, they are good. Our people are very entrepreneurial. I think we are renowned in this country as being very entrepreneurial. I think most of major business establishments, they were done by sons and daughters of this county, whether it is the banks, some of the largest banks. You'll always see a Muranga person, either as the founder or a chairman. KCB, the chair, I think if I'm not wrong, was a Muranga person. Cooperative Bank, the chair. Equity, the chair, and both the CEO are from Muranga. Nairobi Stock Exchange, the first Africans to have stock brokerage firms were Muranga people. In terms of retail, so the point is, this is a county for business. We really love business. We believe that business is what is the engine of growth. And we think if we were to have that spirit of loving business, we think this country can go forward, particularly in terms of creation of employment for its citizenry.
We will have a lot or a number of investors in that conference and investing to Murang'a County. But perhaps you could tell us which investors are you specifically hoping that they'll be there to close a few gaps in the county?
We are open to any investor, whether international or national.
All right.
So we want every investor to attend our conference. But definitely, we prefer anyone in the manufacturing sector. And therefore, we have really made an effort to reach out to Kenya Association of Manufacturers, because we think they represent our dream. And for me, by the way, as a citizen of Kenya, I would really pray that the government, the national government, puts more and more policies that are really tilted towards manufacturing, because I believe that's the best way to uplift any country. Bangladesh, I think when in 2000, its GDP per capita was lower than Kenya, but now it's more richer than Kenya, basically because they pivoted into become a cloth-making country. So I'm really, I know that the future for Africa has to be manufacturing. So for us, we have to position ourselves as a manufacturing hub.
All right.
You've spoken of the economic power or might of Murang'a people. And looking at your advisory committee, it has quite the names. We have SK Masharia, we have Jim Nambaru, we have Peter Munga. But noting that a lot of the businesses they started them elsewhere in Nairobi, and Nairobi has become quite the nerve center for the economy. How can Murang'a County take away some of that clout away from Nairobi? Can you take on Nairobi and the likes of Nakuru to also play in the same level as them, and have your same Murang'a people start those businesses here, and not having to go away to Nairobi and elsewhere to start these enterprises?
Yeah, that is our vision. And we are glad that those business gurus decided to come back and give us advices to push this county forward. They are the brains behind the investment conference, and we are really proud of what they have done in Nairobi and what they are doing to Murang'a, particularly in terms of profiling it and giving us advices. We can only say thank you. They have done Murang'a proud, and we believe that what they have done in Nairobi will definitely be replicated now. And what we are doing is both for the current generation and also for the future generation. These plants, at times they don't mature in a single day. They take years to mature. By the time you are looking for capital, land, you now invest, the investment matures, it might take time. But the Englishman said, the longest journey started with a single step. So we have to take that step for humanity, and for Africa, and for Kenya, and for Murang'a. So we thank those pioneers in business. They charted the way. But now this current generation has to do that which needs to be done. in making Muranga an industrial hub.
What are some of the strategies that the county has put in place to eliminate red tape or bureaucracy for the investors?
Of course, as I have said, number one is automation, but I'm saying it's not perfect. There are gaps, and we'll continue tweaking and to make them better. But we have one innovation that we are yet to perfect. Once we perfect it, we think it will be a game changer. We have what we call a GIS lab, which is basically some satellite-based system that will be able to pinpoint development in a geospatial space. And that will really help any manufacturer wanting to do business in this county once we are able to perfect that system. Beyond that, we do not believe in creating many regulation. We are least regulated county, so we give people a lot of freedom. Yeah, we believe investors know their business is best. But of course, there's a small problem there because there are some regulations from the national government. I have seen an attempt by the national government to reduce some of those red tapes. A good example, I think there's a proposition, for instance, to merge. There are two tourist regulators, tourism sector regulators. There's now, I think one is called Tourism Board, another one is Tourism Development, I don't know what. So if that spirit of reducing red tape can be accelerated, that will help every investor in the entire country. But as a county, we strongly believe in less regulation, and therefore we would want investors to come here because this is a place where we are pro-business.
Mm-hmm. Digital space is slowly taking the center of the markets, as we have seen in the country. Has the county invested in digital platforms or encouraging investors on the digital platforms or trying to do business on the digital spaces, or your investors or encouraging investors on the digital spaces to invest in Murang'a County?
Yes, if you want to apply for a single business permit, you go to the internet and apply for it at the comfort of your computer. Even liquor license, although that adds a little bit contention this financial year, but basically it has been through an internet-based system. Then we go to even our hospitals, they are automated. Same way with other facets, including applying for building permit. You go to the internet and apply it. Same way, if you want to do the cattle movement, again, it's also automated. You don't have to look for an officer to get a movement permit for your cattle. And we are almost automating all our services, but it's a journey. There are also challenges in automation, the downtimes, which at times disrupt our systems, which we are trying to address, including shifting our servers to the clouds. We have also experienced some cyber attacks in some of our systems, but we are also considering putting what we call a redundancy measures and offline measures to mitigate those risks that we are seeing once we decided to go digital. But we think the county can probably be on the right trajectories on matter digitalization.
We have spoken about direct market between the farmer or mwananchi to the investors, if the investors come to Murang'a County. We have also spoken about job opportunities once the investors are here. But to Wanjiku, listening to you right now, what does this mean to him or her, listening to you back at home? What hope does this give to Murang'a County moving forward?
Okay, if I'm Wanjiku, knowing Wanjiku of Murang'a, 70% of them are in agriculture. Okay. They should look this investment conference in terms of establishment of factories that will then create value to their produce, whether avocado, whether mangoes, whether tea, whether coffee. So they should look at this conference from that point of view. From the Wanjikos in our urban centers, whether Muranga, Maragua, Keno, Makenji, Kirwara, whatever. This is an opportunity for those to accelerate urban growth because industries are the engines of urban settlement. So when urban centers expand, more jobs are created in our urban areas and and that boosts the economy. So for me as a Wanjiku, if things go as per the plan, yeah, because this is not a 1 year, 2 year journey, it's a fairly long journey, but if it goes as per our plan, definitely this might be one of our most important intervention, particularly for the present and the future generation of people of Murang'a and this region, by the way.
How then do we promise them that it's buy Murang'a, build Murang'a? Will these commodities from their farms be guaranteed that they will be to their investors, especially those in manufacturing sector?
Of course, the guarantee comes by location.
All right.
If you are in Murang'a, it means if you are a factory in Murang'a, it means you are more attuned to buy the good in Murang'a. Because of course you want to save on transportation costs. Like now that company called Sanimango in Kambiti, it gets its fruits just there next. The many avocado factories in Keno, they get their avocados from Murang'a. Yeah. So being in Murang'a means they are nearer to the produce of Murang'a people better. However, there's something we are discussing with the bank called Equity, called geographical indication. It is an intellectual property that has never been done in Kenya, but we are thinking to pioneer it in Kenya. You see, Murang'a farms are not becoming bigger. In fact, it's the opposite. They are becoming smaller and smaller as times goes on because of subdivision. So that then means, how do you then increase value to our products? There is what we call intellectual property, one form of intellectual property called geographical indication, where you register an item comes from which area. Let's say our tea, you indicate this is Murang'a tea, and you register it with a registrar who register geographical indications. That will definitely increase Murang'a produce value, particularly people who would want to buy those products on the basis of certain Murang'a attributes. For instance, I'll give you an example of basmati rice. That's a geographical indication for the rice from a place called Basmati in Pakistan. Or Champagne, it's a village in France. When those two regions, for instance, register geographical indication, the value doubled or even tripled. So it's a journey we are starting with Equity to see whether can we register geographical indication for Murang'a produce to increase what we call vertical value, and we uplift our people.
All right.
So there's one other way of funding development if you can't get private sector money or fund it from your own resources. And this is borrowing, albeit that being controversial. We are yet to see counties come to borrow in. I know the National Treasury has tried to put a framework for it. Laikipia County was the county that came closest to borrow in. They even had ratings from some global ratings agencies. For Murang'a, do you see debt as a route to development? And are you pursuing to ensure that then there can be a framework for counties to be able to borrow? If you could speak to that.
Okay, for now, no. Reason is we prefer living by our own means. Okay, debt is good. People progress through debt. Even you as an individual, probably your first house was bought through debt, or your first car was bought through debt. And if that was good to you as an individual, most likely it's also good for a society like a county or even a nation. So I'm not saying that is bad. However, if you can get resources without necessarily getting a debt, the better for anyone. So for now, we think, before we think about debt, let us think about attracting investments. If that doesn't work, that's when we can talk about debt.
So,
however, also the process of acquiring debt by county is also very long. It is very laborious. Under the Constitution, it demands we have to get permission from the county assembly, from the National Treasury, and from the cabinet, and even if I'm not wrong, even from the National Parliament. Yeah? So, I think if a county was to decide to go that route, it needs to start that journey the first year of any county government comes into power. That's why Laikipia, I think they started the journey on the second or third year. But by the time the governor was exiting, he didn't make it. So I'm trying to argue that I think it is the right thing to do so, particularly if you are to look for certain specific investment opportunities, which you then map in favor of the people who will buy that bond or sovereign debt or whatever, let's say like a road. But for now, we are saying before we think of that, let's leverage on what we have. And these are our assets, which people can come and pay a little, and we get the money and we move Murang'a forward.
So I assume with that you wouldn't be too keen on developing the framework or simplifying it to enable counties to borrow. Are you then keen to follow up on whether the framework is made better or is improved on to ensure that counties can go also to the market like the national government? Are you keen in a sense?
Yes, I think it is good, not only for Murang'a, for all counties in Kenya. But that's a conversation that needs to be done at the national government level, because it is the national government, particularly national parliament, that would ease that journey, not counties. But there's no harm. If you know, it's like you are a soldier, you have a knife and a gun. You see, you don't want to use the gun, but you want to use the knife. So it's just this one is just in case there's an emergency. Same rationale. And maybe they can make the law better. If and when counties need, they can always revert to that. But for now, Murang'a, we do not want to go into debt. We know debt usually encompasses the future generation. If we can achieve our developmental goals without any debt, the better.
All right.
In fact, by the way, on that score, we have some outstanding loans that are owed to institutional entities like LAP Fund, pension funds, LAP Fund, CPF, NSSF. They don't relate to us. It's something very historical. And we are really even having a discussion whether we can have what we call a debt swap. And because us, we believe in paying debts, but through more rational way to reduce our exposure.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think it has been quite an engaging hour of Muranga's future in terms of investments. And as we wrap up, perhaps you could just sum up and conclude to us on what the conference really targets and who your target audience is.
So let me first say that on Friday, that will be on 13th of June,
All right.
Muranga has a conference for investors to be at Thika Greens here in Muranga County. Any person is invited. If you want to come, you can dial *267 *21#, or you visit our website www.muranga.go.ke. You get all the details. Once you come on that day, we'll be able to tell you what investment opportunities are there and how to apply for those opportunities, and why Muranga, why choose Muranga. And we think if our plan succeeds, God willing, it will be a catalyst for unlocking Muranga as an industrial hub for this region. And it is the right thing to do. That's how countries grow in the whole world, through manufacturing, value addition, and Muranga wants to position itself as an industrial hub.
A lot of questions about Murang'a County Referral Hospital. Perhaps you could also speak to us about the hospital, to those who missed the interview at the beginning. Murang'a County Referral Hospital, you can speak about the capacity of the hospital and the amenities that are coming with the hospital.
Okay, this hospital was built way back many years by, I think, the colonialists. Yeah, it has been about 250 bed capacity, and despite Murang'a population increasing all those years, it has never had new wards. It has been static, and we receive on average 1,500 outpatients per day. That's huge number, huge number. And patients share beds. It's a challenge, that's a fact. So we had to think how to decongest this hospital. At the outpatient level, we have opened 2 satellite dispensaries within this town of ours, Kiangalia Dispensary and Mokoyo. So that has reduced a little bit the numbers coming here for outpatients. But the inpatients, the problem persists. So that's why we have built this new block. It's not open, not yet, but it will be opened soon. About 3 or 4 weeks from today, God willing. And we think that will help us decongest the people, our inpatients wards here.
Do you feel like the strategic point also benefits the residents of Murang'a, specifically where it is? Is that a benefit?
Yes, we have been wondering what makes people come to this hospital, such a large number. Okay, there are many reasons. Maybe it's the location, maybe it's the fact that there are many doctors here, there are many nurses, maybe. So we think we have no option than to make it a little bit better. Of course, it will not be perfect, we're not saying that, but it's a journey.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
Totally agree. That has been our time from Murang'a County, and this is to usher us into the first Murang'a Investment Conference coming up this weekend. That has been our time with Murang'a County Governor Irungu Kang'ata. Thank you very much for granting us this opportunity to share insights about the upcoming conference, and of course my colleague from the Nation Media Group. You have something to wrap up?
Yeah. And we thank you, Governor Kang'ata, for setting the context for the upcoming investor conference. And with that, that has been the governor giving us some context for the first Murang'a Investment Conference on the 13th and 14th of this month. That's Friday and Saturday. And from here at the grounds of the Murang'a County Referral Hospital in Murang'a Town, Murang'a County, we say so long and good night.
Amuka na